Hey everybody. Hello, hello, hello. 9 o'clock on the dot. Where is handsome Shaun? I ask myself that same question every day. Every day when I wake up and I look in the mirror, I say, where is handsome Shaun? All right, it's 9 o'clock here in Vancouver, British Columbia. I am coming to you. I'm coming to you live from Vancouver, from the Canadian College of English Language. Diari's giving me a long hi. Everyone's saying hi, hi, hi. Hello, hello. Let me say hi to some people here. Trey Brown is back. Good to see you, Nitesh. Hello. Fanny France. Good to see you back. Steve. So, Steve Lynn, you're looking at me now and you're still asking where is handsome Shaun? Hey, yeah, who's this guy? Who's this guy? Where's handsome Shaun? Yaprak is back. Hello, hello, Zachariah, Vivian, Vivek, of course. Nor. All right, Bashar, Batiar, Victor is here. Yeah, I'm doing very well, thank you guys. Thank you for asking. I'm good. I'm a little tired, to be honest. Rolfie from the Dominican Republic. Yeah, no, I'm a little sleepy. Adnan, are you asking what my name is? My name is, well, that's a good question. How rude of me. If anybody is new to this class, I am Shaun, and I'm going to be your teacher for the next hour or so. Okay, Ali, Hader, I'm good, thank you. French Leo's here, of course. Carmen, first time. Well, welcome, Carmen. I don't look tired. Well, that's the key, right? If you're gonna be exhausted, just don't look it. As long as you look good, everything's gonna be okay. Yeah, my health is good. Marlena, thank you for asking. I'm a little tired because I was on the other side of Canada a couple days ago, in the province of Quebec. Adriana, you're asking if I am related to Ewan McGregor. I'm not. Well, maybe very distantly, really far back. Who knows? Because my family comes from Scotland, his family comes from Scotland, so you never know. You never know. Bashar, I can't really speak Arabic, unfortunately. So many funny questions coming. Yeah, so I was on the other side of Canada. I'm a little tired today because it's a time difference of about 3 hours, which is not a lot. I know that you guys, from here to where you are, it could be a time difference of I don't know, 16 hours, 20 hours. JB87 is saying, are you not French Canadian? I am not French Canadian. I am Anglo Canadian, but I did grow up in the part of Canada that is bilingual in the province of New Brunswick, Nouveau Brunswick. No, I can't do Spanish either. Can I speak Italian? I have learned and forgotten more languages than I can count. Yeah? I spent a month in Italy, so for 1 month I spoke Italian. Yeah? Okay. Yes, Bushra, that's exactly it. I'm a little jet lagged. 6 o'clock in France, that's cool, yeah? All right. So, I could just sit here all day and just talk to you guys in the chat, but let's get into the lesson. So if it is your first time, welcome. As I said, I'm Shaun. I am in Vancouver right now. It is 9 o'clock in the morning on Friday. It's almost the weekend. And just so you know, as the lesson continues, if you have questions during the class, just put your questions in the chat over here, okay? Put them in the chat, and I will try to answer them as best I can, as often as I can. But you, of course, also have lots of classmates in there that can help you out as well. Okay? So I'm going to go into the lesson here. Let me switch over. Here we go. Okay, so today's lesson is all about mistakes. Mistakes. Now don't panic yet. I know that some of you see this and you think the mistake of the week. Well, let me explain. All right? Let me explain that if you guys have been in this class for a while, you know that I love mistakes, right? I feed off mistakes. I encourage you to make mistakes. Love them. Mistakes are beautiful. Okay? Mistakes are a beautiful thing. And that's what we're going to focus on today. Today, I would like to look at a specific mistake that students of English often make in writing, but also sometimes in spoken English as well. But today's lesson is going to be focusing more on English in written English, the written form, okay? And looking at a specific mistake that is very common, not just for low level, but for high level students as well. But just to remind anybody, or everybody I should say, that this is an intermediate level class, right? Intermediate level, right in the middle, okay? So not super advanced, not beginner, but in the middle. Everyone is welcome, because as I said, this mistake is something that many students make, even the high level students. Yeah, Alejandro, you're making mistakes just to make me happy? Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Carmen, you're from Mexico? Well, cool. Very cool. Good to see Mexico in the class. I think we probably have some other Mexicans in there too. Yeah? Morsal? Morsal? Yeah? Asan is from Bangladesh. Cool. Okay. Ella's saying some mistakes have serious consequences. Absolutely. Some mistakes have serious consequences. The mistake we're looking at today probably won't have serious consequences, right? But let's try to avoid it anyway. So, as I said, I like mistakes, but I also like giving you the tools you need to avoid making certain mistakes, okay? Especially for anyone who is going to be doing an IELTS exam or some kind of written test in the future. Vivek is from the moon. Yeah, I'm not surprised by that. Yeah. Okay. So let's get rolling. This is what we're going to do. Usually, I don't start exactly like this, but I am going to ask you to tell me what the mistake is. Okay. I haven't told you yet. Some people are asking, what is the topic of today's lesson? Well, I would like you to tell me what the topic of today's lesson is, okay? Because I am going to put 3 sentences up on the screen, and I'd like you to tell me what is wrong with these sentences. Okay, what is the mistake in each of these sentences? Now, I'll tell you, each of these sentences contains a problem, and they share the same problem, but just in a different way, right? So each of these 3 sentences has a problem. So, in my country is very cold in winter. His roommate watching football all the time. And because I was so busy with my schoolwork. GS Sandu saying hi. Hello, hello. Nor, you're saying the comma? No, this comma here? No, that comma's okay. That comma's okay. Yeah? Morsal is saying there's a word missing. Now, don't worry about fixing the mistake yet. Tell me why it's a mistake, okay? We're going to fix them later. But I want to focus first on why is it a mistake? What is the mistake? I think I saw Alejandra say it. Good for you. Lewis Hun, yeah, you know the topic of today's lesson. Good. Yeah, no, Victor, you want to say in the winter over here? In the winter. Yeah, you could say in the winter, or you can say in winter. Both are perfectly okay. Alita is saying running sentences. Not quite. Not quite. Yeah, now French Leo, you definitely found the mistake in the first sentence, but what do they have in common? Now again, Alejandra said it. I don't know if anybody else picked up on it or not. But all of these, it's interesting because these sentences are all the same mistake, but in a different way. Okay, so let me tell you. Let me tell you a thing or two here. Okay, the problem with these sentences is that these guys right here, these are not sentences, right? That's the problem. Rosa, you got it too. Good. Thank you. Good for that. All right, so these are not sentences. That's the problem, right? These are sentence fragments. Okay, sentence fragments is the topic of the class today. We're going to talk about what a sentence fragment is, and we're going to talk about how to fix them and how to avoid them. Now, JB87 is right on the money. You said that these sentences, all three of these sentences, are incomplete, right? And that's exactly what I want to talk about first. We're going to come back to these three examples. We're going to talk about how to fix them. But let's first talk about this common mistake, the sentence fragment. Okay, the sentence fragment is a mistake, and it is a very common mistake that students make. So the first question is, what are sentence fragments? I know some of you already know because I see you putting it in the chat, and that's great. And again, my mistake, I made the same mistake last week. I wore a checkered shirt today, didn't I? It looks a little strange on the screen. Okay. Bashar is saying, is a fragment the same as a clause? Not exactly. Now, what is that? What's that? I can't quite read that name. Nargiza? Nargiza hates school, eh? All right. That's unfortunate. That's not exactly what your teacher wants to hear, but that's fine. Is this my favorite shirt? Maybe it's my lucky shirt, yeah? But it doesn't work on a white screen. Okay. All right. So what are sentence fragments? For anybody who doesn't know, the word fragment means a piece, a broken piece. Now this is tragedy for me, right here. This is a horrible picture. This is my nightmare right here, right? As most of you know, I like my coffee, and to see this, it brings a tear to my eye, right? So a fragment, each of these broken pieces here. Let me get my crazy little tadpole type thingy here. Each of these pieces is a fragment of a broken cup. It is a broken piece. So this right here, this, am I pointing that way, this way, this right here, oh. That is not a cup. That is a fragment of a cup. And the same thing goes with sentences, okay? This is a broken up cup, and let's look at how sentences get broken, right? I know, no more coffee. It's terrible. Frenchly, am I crying for the coffee or the cup? No, definitely the coffee. Yeah, cups come and go. Good coffee is forever. All right, so a sentence fragment, by definition, guys, is an incomplete sentence. You're preparing for IELTS? Well, good. This is a good thing to know for IELTS, for your writing component, for sure. Okay, so sentence fragment is incomplete sentence, right? Naveen, you got it. Is it a broken sentence? It is a broken sentence, exactly. Because they're incomplete, they are not finished, right? They are not complete. Because they're usually missing something. There's something missing from this sentence that stops it from being complete, right? And a sentence fragment is incorrect. Now, we're going to look at a couple different examples of sentence fragments and how we make this mistake. It is important, though, for me to say, and I'll probably say it again, sometimes in spoken English, we speak in fragments sometimes, and that's fine, okay? I am going to look at an example of a type of fragment that is perfectly fine in speech, because spoken English and written English are a little bit different, right? They don't follow the same rules, okay? Adriana's asking Rosa what the meaning of a run-on sentence is. Well, that'll be a different class, yeah. But maybe, Rosa, you can answer that in the chat. That's a good question. Bashar, yeah, you're saying keep calm? Voldemort's got to go? Okay, well, that's fine. Thanks for swinging by. Yeah? All right, so sentence fragments are incorrect. They're broken. They're incomplete. They're missing something, okay? So the next question to fully understand this is, what makes a sentence complete or incomplete? So in order to understand what a incomplete sentence is, we really have to know what a complete sentence is, right? So let's just, as a review, it's a review for some of you, I know, but that's fine. Let's keep it simple for now. Juan, you're a little late, but that's okay. You haven't missed the main thing. So what ingredients do we need to make a complete sentence? French Leo, that's good. So you're almost there. You've got 2 of the 3. Every sentence, to be complete, needs 3 things, okay? Needs 3 things. It needs a subject, right? It needs to be about something, right? So the subject needs to be there. Louis Hahn, you're right. You got that. Some French Leo too. Jimenez, yeah, info, okay. Yeah, this is good, this is good. And this is exactly how sentence fragments happen, is because oftentimes students think a sentence needs a subject and a sentence needs a main verb, and that's it. But that's not it, okay? That's not it. Some people are saying in the chat that you need an object, but you don't need an object for a sentence to be complete, okay? If I say, I run, that is a sentence. That's fine, okay? It's got a subject, it's got a verb, but it also has something else. Nor, you got it. Although I think you meant thought there rather than through, but that's exactly it. For a sentence to be complete, it needs a subject, a main verb, and a completed idea or thought, okay? It needs to be a complete and independent thought. French Leo, Giari, that's exactly it. I slept. That's a sentence. I sleep is a sentence, right? But you need that completed thought. And we'll talk about that in a little bit, okay? So, complete meaning, Entasar is saying. That's exactly right. Good. Good. Okay, so I think last week we looked at this example, this sentence. She stopped studying around 9 o'clock last night. So this is a complete sentence. This is a perfectly good sentence because it checks all of the little boxes of what a sentence needs. It has a subject. Does it have a subject? Yes. Perfect. Okay. Does it have a main verb? Yes, it does. There's your main verb. Stopped. Stopped is your main verb. Okay? And other than that, on top of that, it's got an object, and then it has some prepositional phrases and more information about time and place. Or, well, actually, not place, but just time. Okay? So because of all of this information, it is a complete thought. She stopped studying around 9 o'clock last night. This is grammatically complete. Okay? It doesn't need anything else. Good. Now, one thing to be careful of is when I say a complete thought, that doesn't mean that you have all the information you need, right? Because as somebody mentioned in the chat over here, I'm going to pop out here. I am is a complete sentence, okay? There's your subject, there's your verb, and it's finished. That's all you need to say, I am, right? You don't have a lot of information there, but it's grammatically complete. Later in class, I'll tell you more about how a sentence becomes incomplete, okay? Good. Okay, so let me let me jump back in here. Lots of interesting stuff going on in the chat. Okay, and yeah, if you have questions for me, Zechariah, what means thought? Well, thought just means like an idea, right? Whatever you are saying in that sentence has to be finished, complete. But we'll talk more about that in a bit, right? Thought is the past tense of think, sure, but it's also a noun, right, for what you think. So if a sentence is missing a subject or a main verb, or is not a complete idea, right, if it's missing one of these things, any of them, then it's not a sentence, it's a fragment. It's broken, and you have to fix it. Lewis, is that your example of a complete sentence? So Nitesh is saying, what's the difference between a clause and a fragment? Good question. We'll talk about that in a bit, okay? We'll talk about that in a little bit later in class, okay? So let's look at the three kind of ways that we mistakenly make sentence fragments, okay? Because, as I said, the class today is about how can I avoid sentence fragments. I don't want to make this mistake, especially if you're writing an IELTS test next week, right? But remember that question, guys. Nitesh is asking, what's the difference between a clause and a fragment? I mean, the short answer, and I'll get into more detail later, is that a clause can be complete, okay? All right, so the first type of sentence fragment is one that is missing a subject. Okay, so perhaps my Spanish students, Spanish-speaking students, my Italian-speaking students, I'm looking at you for this one. This is a common mistake for people who speak the Latin-based languages. And this was the first example that I gave you today. I said, in my country is very cold in winter, right? Is very cold in winter. So as you guys pointed out in the chat, this is a mistake. Lewis Hunt, good correction there. This is a mistake because it has no subject. You've got a verb there, but there's no subject with that verb. In some languages, that's okay. Spanish, Italian, it's okay. But it's not okay in English. You can't say, is very cold. Is nice, right? Can't say that, right? Fanny France, you got it. Ralphie, good for you. All right, so quick fix, put it in there. You guys got it. And now you've got a subject and everything's great. In my country, it is very cold in winter, right? Alternatively, you could also say, my country is very cold in winter. You could say that too, right? Portuguese is the same, Adriana? Yeah? I should know this, but can you do that in French? Can you drop the subject in French? Maybe. Yeah, probably. I don't know. French Leo, you can tell me that, or Fanny French, probably. So my country is very cold, or it is cold in winter. Now you've got the subject and everything's fine, right? Now that mistake, other than that particular type of mistake made by Latin language speakers, isn't very common, right? It isn't as common for students to forget to put a subject in the sentence. Okay, so that's the easy one. Put that aside, okay? Piece of cake. All right. So, missing main verbs, as we said. Okay, now this is a more common mistake than the missing subjects, right? This was my example sentence that I gave you guys. We said his roommate watching football all the time. His roommate watching football all the time. Yeah, so you say il fait froid, so that you are using the subject there, right, in French? Yeah, okay. So in this sentence, obviously the mistake is that there is no main verb, right? Because this right here, this ing has a very important rule with it grammatically, right? And that is important to remember. Present participles, the verb plus ing, like watching, right, they can be the main verb. As a main verb, that's okay. But of course, and again, as some of you are saying in the chat over there, you need the verb be with the ing verb, right? So you can't just say my roommate watching, but you need am, is, or are in there. Okay? Is or was, good for you. Good, good, good. Really good stuff, guys. Okay, so as you guys are doing in the chat, if you're watching this later as a video, you can't see the chat, but people are putting in lots of good corrections here. So my roommate is watching football all the time. Now you've got the main verb, okay? Now, is watching football all the time? That sounds a little bit strange, but grammatically it's okay. There is another option, obviously. If you don't want to talk about the continuous, if you just want to talk about a routine thing that your roommate does, you can say that, right? His roommate watches football all the time. Now you've got your main verb. All right, good stuff. Likes watching. Barbaro says that. His roommate likes watching football all the time. Perfect. Great. Good. Okay. Another mistake. Now, this is a very short sentence. I wanted to keep it simple, but this kind of thing. She to go home soon. Just keep in mind, participles and infinitives. This is where we make the mistake sometimes with main verbs. Infinitives cannot be the main verb of a sentence. So to go, to be, to like, that is not your main verb. Trey Brown, good correction. Good, you guys are, you're too fast for me. You're one step ahead of me the whole time, right? So she to go can become she has to go. And now that is fine. It's good. Or, of course, you can do it in continuous and say she is going home soon, but not to go. Alejandro, that his roommate is the subject. Yes, that's right. Good question. Now, she goes to home soon, Carmen. You probably use it in some kind of future aspect. She goes home soon. Sounds a little strange. I would say she is going home soon, or she will go. And Bashar got that one too. Or Painkiller, she is going to go home soon. Absolutely. Good. Now, I think there's one more. Now, before I get into complete ideas, I'm going to go over to my notes. Because a common mistake that students make in writing when it comes to a missing verb is oftentimes starting a sentence with for example, and then writing a sentence that actually doesn't have a verb in it, right? So if you say, for example, the beach near my house. I don't know, I just don't know where that came from. There is no beach near my house, but wishful thinking, we say, right? Be careful of this type of sentence fragment as well, right? Because oftentimes we think if we say, for example, we can follow it with just a noun or a phrase and it's fine, but not as a separate sentence, okay? If this there's no verb in here, right? You've got your subject, yeah, there's your subject, and there's a phrase near my house, adverbial phrase, right? But there's no verb there, right? So you can't just put that in a paragraph. That is a fragment and it's a mistake. You could say something like, for example, the beach near my house is beautiful. Yeah? Now you've got your verb there. Now let me make that a nice deep green color. Oh, isn't that nice? Okay. Or you can say something like this, guys, like there are many wonderful places in my neighborhood. I'm just making this up as I go. For example, the beach near my house. Okay? If you're not putting a verb there, then you can't put a period here and start a new sentence. You have to attach it to the clause that comes before. Right? Even if you say the beach, which is that's a really good question. Let me take that away. Okay, for example, the beach, which is, wow, this is getting a little bit more complicated, but the beach which is near my house still is incomplete. That's still incomplete because now you've got a subject here. Okay, this is a good question. I don't know who put that in there. Is that Rosa? Yeah. Or Archie? Yeah, even if you put that there, it's a mistake because now you've got this clause has this as the subject, right? Now that's the subject. What color should I make this? That color, okay? And that's the verb for which, but beach still has no verb. So that's getting a little bit more complicated with this than I want to at this point in time, okay? But the beach near my house is beautiful. Just putting something like that in there. Vivek, good, looks beautiful. There are many stupid people. For example, my neighbor. Now this, okay, okay. So this is an example coming in from one of you guys. Zayed, I hope that's not true, but there. Here, let me put that up here. Whoops, where did I go? There. It says there are many beautiful, no, you said stupid people. Stupid people, right? And then a period, for example, my neighbor. Right. So no, that's a good question, but no, you can't do that. This is a fragment. It's incomplete, right? There's no verb. For example, my neighbor. That is not a sentence. So instead, Zaid, put a comma there like that. Nitesh is saying the beach which is near my house is beautiful. Really good. Carmen, my house has a beautiful beach. Okay. Good. Nitesh, there are many intelligent people near my house. Yeah, you guys are fun. You guys are funny. Okay, so just be careful. Be careful of things like, for example. That's a really common mistake that students make. But to be clear, and I mentioned this earlier today, right, is that some of these types of mistakes are fine in written or in spoken language, okay? If you say, for example, my neighbor, that's fine. You don't have to worry so much about sentence fragments like this in spoken English, right? We speak very fragmented sentences sometimes, right? You guys don't really like your neighbors very much, do you? My neighbors are lovely people. I don't know about you. Oh, man. Okay, so, for example, my neighbor. Spoken English, it's fine. In an essay, for IELTS, for any kind of English language assessment, that's a mistake, and you're going to get, well, I was going to say you're going to get punished for it. You're not going to get punished for it. But your score will reflect that. Now, Carmen, that people is stupid. That's a problem with subject-verb agreement, yeah? Okay. All right, so before I get you guys to do some work for me, I want to look at that third way that we make sentence fragments, okay? And that is with incomplete ideas, a sentence that has a subject, it has a verb, but the idea itself in the sentence is not complete. Beck Murad, you think you are pre-intermediate? Yeah, well, that's okay. You're welcome to stick around. I mean, this is the intermediate level. It's good to kind of push yourself a little bit. Alejandro, you're right. I have bears as my neighbors and coyotes. Adriana, no, there is no prerequisite to study at my college because it's a language school. We have a career college as well, but for the language studies, no, you just have to show up and we tell you what level you are and you get to study here. That's it. All right? Okay, so incomplete ideas. What is an incomplete idea? Well, this. Because I was so busy with my schoolwork. Okay? Now, this was my example at the beginning of class. And again, in spoken language, in spoken English, when you're speaking to somebody, this is fine, right? Somebody says, "Why didn't you call me last night?" You say, "Because I was so busy with my schoolwork." And that's okay, okay? But in writing, in an essay for a test, this is considered incomplete, okay? Now let me tell you why. The problem with this sentence fragment, as I said, it has a subject. There's your subject. It has a verb. There's your verb. But it is incomplete because it is what we call a dependent clause. Okay, a dependent clause. Rosa, yeah, you saw it too. Victor's saying get rid of that word because. That's exactly right. Good. The problem is that word because. Okay, so this short list, there are probably others that I didn't include in this list. These words, called subordinating conjunctions, which you don't have to know that word, these conjunctions create a dependent clause, meaning the clause that you have these in is in itself incomplete. Okay, so let me explain, and then I'll go to my notes just to make sure that we're clear on this. A dependent clause has a subject, it has a main verb, but the thought is incomplete because it needs an independent clause. Okay? So remember when we talked about the difference between a clause and a fragment? Well, let me show you that. Okay? So how about I'll go to my notes here and say that remember, there are two types of clauses, right? I was so busy with my schoolwork. This is what we call an independent clause, meaning it is perfectly complete and fine, it makes sense, it can be on its own, okay? The other type of sentence, or the other type of clause, rather, is called a dependent clause, right? Now let me show you what I'm talking about here. Now when you say, because I was so busy with my school work, you're creating a dependent clause, meaning it cannot live on its own, right? It's not complete. Lewis Hun, good. That's a really good good correction there. That's great. Rosa saying because is the problem. That's exactly right. Okay. Perfect. Good. Lots of good examples coming in. Yeah. So what was I saying? Dependent clauses. Yeah, right. Let's get back in here. Because a dependent clause, I like to say a dependent clause needs an independent clause. It's like a child, okay? Alone, it cannot survive. It needs an independent clause to attach itself to, someone to take care of it, right? Nor, what was your question? 4 or 5 types of fragment? It's a good question. I mean, we're looking at kind of 3 broad categories. There might be more than that in specific type. Okay, so We said because I was so busy, get that word because out of there, and now it's complete. I was so busy with my schoolwork. Okay? Or, as many of you are saying there, you can add an independent clause and say, because I was so busy with my schoolwork, I forgot to eat lunch. Now it's complete, right? Because this section here, I forgot to eat my lunch, that is an independent clause. Now in this class, we've talked about complex sentences before. We've talked about dependent and independent clauses. You're right, Rosa, it's like a mother and son. This is the little baby, this is the son, right? And I forgot to eat lunch. That's the mommy. Okay. Good. Good. All right, you guys are doing very well here. So, one more type here. Still kind of an incomplete idea. Having a cup of coffee on a sunny day. Just remember that when you start a sentence with ing as the gerund, don't get confused and think that is complete. It's like an orphan, right? This is also like an orphan. It needs to be attached to an independent clause. Okay, so let me show you this one example here and how you can fix it, and then I'm going to make you guys do some work for me. Okay, so having a cup of coffee on a sunny patio, again, you could add the verb, is my favorite way to spend an afternoon. Okay? Or you could also do this, which is a little bit complicated. This is probably above the intermediate level, but having a cup of coffee on a sunny patio, I thought about Shaun. I don't know what that means. Adam Stone has a great example. Teacher and student. Okay, sure. Yeah. Except, I mean, well, yeah, you could say that. I was going to say, without a student, what's a teacher, right? I mean, to be a teacher, I need students, right? Because if I don't have a student, what am I? I'm not a teacher. I'm just a guy. Okay. Rosa, yeah, he needs to invite you. Yeah, that guy. Yeah, he was a handsome man. Yeah, sitting all alone. Like an orphan looking for your parents. Wow, you guys, you're like poets, right? Good. So just make sure that your sentences are not sad little lost children looking for their parents. Now, Rolfie, that's a good example. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to steal your sentence there. I'm going to put it up there. Okay. So the one thing, Rolfie, that I'll say about that. Whoops. I'll go here. I'll make that nice and big so everybody can see it. I know it's super tiny for some reason. All right. Having a cup of coffee on a sunny patio is the best way to relax. That is almost perfect, Rolfie. Almost. Just get rid of that. Okay? Don't need that comma because as we talked about a couple weeks ago, having is your subject, right? Is your verb. So don't put that comma between your subject and verb. Is an amazing break. Yeah, Ella, good one. Jerry, nice one. Good. Okay, so how about this? Let's put you to the test a little bit. Because I've been talking for a long time. What's a student without Shaun? I don't know. A student with some other teacher, maybe. All right, so let me go into, oh, actually, my notes are right here. Yeah. Let me make that nice and big so everybody can see it. Just so I know that we're on the right track. Now, you don't have to fix anything. You don't have to do anything with these sentences themselves. I just want you to decide, is this a sentence or is this a fragment? Okay, so letter A says, since I started playing baseball. Since I started playing baseball is not a sentence. It is a fragment. Okay, let me make that bold there, yeah. Okay, because it is incomplete. The word since makes it dependent. It needs something else. If you say, I started playing baseball, that's complete. If you say, since I started playing baseball, that's dependent. So I'm going to give you about 1 minute, 60 seconds. Go through. I'm going to put the music on and tell me, is it a sentence or is it a fragment? Okay? Get to work, guys. Alrighty, everybody. So I know a couple people were having trouble seeing the screen, but let me see. How about, rather than going in real close, maybe I'll just make the font bigger here so that we can see it one at a time here. So I just made it super big so everybody can see. All right, now I tricked you on a couple of them, but it was kind of mean of me, I think. There were a couple tricky ones, just because, as I said, I love mistakes. Okay, so B, although no one could answer her question. Lewis Hunt is saying B is a fragment. And it looks like everybody agrees with that. I mean, most people say that B is a fragment, I think. Let me zoom through all of these answers here. Trey Brown agrees, fragment. Rosa, fragment. That is right, yeah. This is not a complete sentence, right? Because of although. Yeah, that becomes a dependent clause. Dependent clause. Now okay. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do something else here too, guys. Just a second. I don't like that spacing. Let's go single spaced. Ooh, yeah, that's better. Get it all nice and big, but close together. So near my house is a sports facility with a football field and a swimming pool. Some people, most people, I think, I tricked you. You guys think that's a fragment, right? Did anybody say that C was a sentence? Did I trick everybody? No, Adam Stone, you got it. Can't trick you, eh? I'll get you someday. I'll get you. French Leo couldn't trick you either. Yeah, this one, C, we're not going to talk too much about this today, but sometimes in English when we want to be kind of a little bit fancy with our sentences, it is possible to invert or switch the order of the subject and the verb in a sentence. Now, in C, that right there, that is not the subject of the sentence. That is a prepositional phrase, right? Near my house. There's your verb, right? Like highlight that. But there is a subject. The subject is a sports facility, right? I don't know if maybe I'm going to blow your minds here. But yes, sometimes if we want to get fancy with our English, nice. I am a little naughty. Yeah. Sometimes if we want to get cute with our language, we can flip the order like this, oftentimes starting with a prepositional phrase. But what we mean is a sports facility with a football field and swimming pool is near my house. Okay? And that is perfectly okay. Right, French Leo is a complement for location. That's right. This is, yeah, it's a prepositional phrase which they function as adjectives or adverbs, right? Okay, so don't be fooled by me. Okay, Diaria, yeah? You understood the cuteness? Good. Because there's another example like that in there too. All right. So, D, after an exhausting day of school. Now again, let me put a little space there. So what do you guys think for D? D. He said, Vivek thinks it's a fragment. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, D is a fragment. Definitely, Lewis got it too. After an exhausting day at school, there's no verb there, right? That's really just a phrase that is very much, very much incomplete here. Just go there, nice and big. Okay, so that's a fragment. What about E? For example, a person studying in another country. And again, you guys nailed it. This is also a fragment. Okay? Because again, there is no main verb here. Okay? You've got the ing, but no to be verb there, right? Okay? There are no parents. Yeah, right. Exactly. E has no parents. No mommy, no daddy to take care of them. All right, good. In the doorway stood a man dressed in a dark black suit. Now again, some of you, I may have tricked at first, but now you're coming back at me and saying, that is definitely a sentence. And you're right. F is a sentence. It is complete for the same reason that the other one was. In the doorway, again, I'm just getting cute with my language here, guys. In the doorway, stood is your verb, and then the subject is a man. All right? So, a man stood, or rather, a man dressed in a dark black suit stood in the doorway. It is a sentence. Ahmed, you're angry? Are you angry at me? Have I upset you? Don't be angry. Language is a beautiful thing. Okay, now The next one's here. I'm going to let go of your anger. Okay. But you're still asking the same question about that. Okay. Yeah, Vivek, you hate me? Yeah. Okay. So, G, my father being from Atlantic, Canada, which is a true story, and you guys are right. That's a fragment, right? No main verb. Good. And I'm going to go kind of quickly through this one. Because he never comes to class on time, you guys got it again. That is a fragment. It's not complete. Whoops, what do I do there? Okay. Because he never comes to class on time, it's incomplete. I'll come back to that, Rosa. That's I'll look at that sentence in a second. Okay. In the country he lives with his wife and sons. You guys are right there. You nailed it again. So many answers are coming in. You said that's a sentence, and that is a sentence, right? There's a subject, there's a verb, and it's a complete idea. It's a mummy, it's a daddy. It doesn't need anything else to be grammatically correct. Adam, almost. You got 3. There are 3 sentences that are correct, right? And then Sydney, to be the new team captain, is also a fragment, right? That's a fragment as well. I should also have mentioned that anybody who's actually in my class, I should have told you this to begin with and totally forgot, but we are in Unit 6, as you know, and this exercise is right in here. So anybody actually in the class can go in and just open that up, and you'll see the same thing here, okay? Okay. So there are 3 sentences, and everything else there is a fragment. Okay, so how should I do this? Oh, okay. Yeah, I know what I'm going to do. So going back to Rosa's question, here you're saying, why did I not say there is, like that? Near my house there is a sports facility. That would be okay. You could do that. But again, as I said, Rosa, sometimes we like to sound like poets, right? When we speak, don't speak like this, guys. Okay? Don't say to your friend, "Near my house is a sports facility." No, because you're going to sound like you're trying to seem really smart. This is something we do in written English. Yeah, not in conversation. So don't say that. Okay. What's this other question here? Adam, what are you asking about that? Prem is asking about putting a comma before if in the middle of a sentence. Oh, you mean, no, it's not a fragment, but it's usually unnecessary, Prem. I wouldn't do that. You're talking about if you start the sentence with an independent clause. I think if you're saying something, I believe your question, Prem, is something like, I will go to the beach if it is nice. So I'm making a really simple example here, right? You're saying, put a comma there? No, don't put a comma there. Only if you start with the dependent clause, okay? So if you say, if it is nice, I will go to the beach. Okay? If you start with that dependent clause, put that comma there. Okay, that's a good question. And it kind of fits with this topic of fragments, because now you know if you wrote this, if it is nice, that is a fragment. That's incomplete, right? You need that mummy or daddy there. Okay? Good question. Yeah? All right. That was good. Good. So, what shall I do here? How about this? I'm going to copy this. I'm going to put it up here, just kind of maybe just once on the screen. If you can see that. I'm going to make it all nice and big. So we have identified which sentences are fragments and which sentences are complete, right? What I would like you guys to do now, this is going to be your homework, yeah, because we're almost out of time. We're not going to spend class time on this, but I want you to try to fix the fragments, right? All of those fragments that you identified, I want you to fix them for me, okay? If I were him, Vivek, to answer your question. Devinder, yes, sometimes we use a semicolon in a sentence, but that's a very different type of sentence. We'll have to talk about that in another class. But the semicolon, ooh, is my friend. I like that guy. I like the semicolon. Yeah? I'm very nerdy. Yeah, Nitesh, I just answered that one. If I would say him. Yeah, because you want the object. You want the object there. Yeah? I would say both, Ahmed, to answer your question. I didn't have time. I didn't have the time. I would say no article. I didn't have time to rent an apartment. Okay? Vivek, you're funny. Okay, so anybody who's in the class, this is your homework for the week. Fix those sentence fragments and share them with me, okay? Anybody who's just watching, you can put your answers in the Facebook group, and we'll talk about them. Maybe I'll put this on the Facebook page, and you guys can comment on how to fix these sentence fragments. Okay? So yes, French Leo, of course. Now, you guys know I love mistakes so much that even a class where we spend the whole class talking about mistakes, I know you guys, I still can't leave without a mistake of the week, right? Okay, so mistake of the week, yeah. This is not related to sentence fragments. I decided to choose something different. Yeah. If anybody is new, this is how it works. I'm going to put a sentence up here, and I want to see if you can find the mistake. Okay? Look at the screen, read the sentence, and find the one mistake in the sentence. The first person who puts the answer in the chat is just the best, is the best human being on the planet. Adriana, why do you love mistakes so badly? Because without mistakes, I would be, I don't know, working at Starbucks or something. I'm not sure. Yeah. Which is fine, but I wouldn't have a job if people didn't make mistakes, right? That's why I love them so much. It keeps me employed. Makes me feel smart. Yeah, it's very selfish of me. Mistakes are nutritious. Yes. Okay. All right, so here we go. Prem, it was my pleasure. Here's the mistake of the week. Not sure what that question means, Ahmed, okay? All right. French Leo. I'm not sure what that means, but there's the sentence. I'm going to leave the screen. Put your answer in the chat. Okay, get to it. Okay. Yeah, good, 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 good. I tricked some of you, that makes me happy, but some of you could not be tricked. Now this one's I think Steve, you got it. I think you got it first, I guess. I mean, although the mistake isn't technically that, unless you're fixing it. But I think you're on the right track. Ziad is the first to actually pinpoint which part of the sentence is the mistake, followed by a couple other people that have. Who do we have here? Devinder, ameclium. Not necessary. You're absolutely right. Thanks for that. Trey Brown. Lots of people got in there, but I think Steve got it, followed by Ziad. Yeah, good for you guys. Okay, so there's some of you are focused on the airport, and that's perfectly fine to say catch a train to the airport. There's no mistake there. Okay. Muhib says no idea. That's okay. That's why we're doing this, because this is a very common mistake. Now, this is not a mistake that is going to get you in serious trouble. Okay? Don't worry too much, but it is a very common mistake. And where is it? Where am I? There we go. Okay. Carmen, is that for me? I don't know. Maybe you're talking to somebody else in the chat. I'm going to downtown. To downtown is the mistake. Okay? Very common. I have to wake up early tomorrow because I'm going to downtown to catch a train to the airport. To downtown, in downtown, at downtown. You don't need to use a preposition with downtown. Okay? Get that out of there. Not a huge mistake, but it does sound awkward when you say, I'm going to downtown. Okay? Ayub, yeah, you're just at the very end of it here, Ayub, yeah? Trey Brown, you knew that? Muhib, don't feel so bad. All right? So oftentimes students will put a preposition with downtown and saying, I live in downtown. This school where I am now, I am not in downtown. I am downtown. J. Pablo, you failed. It's okay. It's okay to fail every once in a while. That's how we learn, right? I am going to downtown, grammatically correct. French Leo, it is not correct. It is incorrect because in this sentence we're not using, downtown isn't really it's not a noun, right? You're not going to a place. And we usually use downtown functioning as like an adverb, like to go abroad. Okay, so let me hop out here to the notes one more time. Okay, and I'll go over here. So it's the same thing. Think of it the same way. You say, I am going abroad or overseas next month. Whoops. My mistake of the week right there. Next month, okay? So I'm going abroad. You don't say going to abroad, right? You don't say going to overseas because abroad is not a place itself. It's not a noun. It's an adverb, okay? Abroad explains or modifies the verb to go, and it's the same thing with downtown. So you can't say to go to downtown. Downtown, I know it's crazy, but technically is not a place, okay? So you don't say CCEL, that's my school, that's where I am, is in downtown. No, it's not in downtown, it's not at downtown, it is downtown. French Leo, yes, it's a very tiny mistake, yeah. But I love those tiny mistakes, those are my favorite, yeah. Milena saying, I am in downtown? Nope, I am downtown. Is anybody there? Is anybody watching downtown? Where you live? Are you downtown? No, don't use the prepositions. The only time you will see a preposition before downtown, okay, is if the preposition is attached to another noun, okay? So CCEL, the Canadian College of English Language, where I am right now, is in downtown Vancouver, okay? Because now in is working with Vancouver. Downtown is now functioning almost like an adjective to modify Vancouver. Where in Vancouver? Downtown Vancouver. I apologize. Yeah, I would say maybe one, and I know this is crazy because language is crazy, and that's why I like it. One exception might be to say near, right? Do you live near downtown? Some people might say that, but don't say in downtown. Sentence fragment was the topic, Ayub. Yep. Rolfie says, I'll see you downtown. That is exactly right. You will see me downtown. SMH. I make your Friday night amazing. Well, thank you very much. That's really nice. You guys make my Friday morning amazing. Yeah? Muhib, don't. Yeah, that's fine. It's not a failure. It's a mistake. Yeah, you haven't failed. You have succeeded in seeing that you have more to learn. Okay. Yeah, right. Alejandro, you need a whole lesson about downtown. And look at this. There you go. There's an example where you're saying about downtown, and that's grammatically okay. Okay. What does downtown mean? Well, that's kind of the trick, right? I mean, downtown. Down used to be the direction, right? Downtown, because there's also uptown. Do you live downtown or do you live uptown? It's the direction, right? Usually north or south. But French is a genre of tiny mistake, yeah? Vivek, don't drink the poison. Don't drink the poison yet, unless you're just talking about alcohol, which is up to you. Okay. J. Pablo, I'm not sure what you mean by that question. But here, let me pop out here, guys, because it is time to fly here. Let me go to the green screen. Okay, so it is time for me to go, sadly. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. I always enjoy myself here. It's always a blast. Yeah, yeah, Jerry, I know it's the crazy stuff I like. I like the crazy stuff. Well, Devinder, yeah, I'm not sure about that sentence there. We'll put that on the Facebook group. And again, guys, I know I've been saying this every week. I didn't spend much time on the Facebook group. As I said, I was in Quebec City on the other side of Canada for a conference of Canadian language colleges, which was super cool, called Languages Canada. And I was at a conference there for several days, so I didn't spend much time on Facebook because I was super busy meeting people. Okay. So yeah, Demeter, put that question on Facebook, and I'll answer that. Okay. All right. So yeah, well, Ayub just watched this. Oh, about sentence structure. Yeah, I mean, we can talk about that. I think there are probably already some videos we have on sentence structure. Yeah. Time flies. It's true. Okay. All right, guys. So it's always a pleasure for me to be here with you for such a short little piece of my Friday. Keep watching. I'll see you here next week. I'm here next week, same time, 9 o'clock Vancouver time on Friday. We've also got Neil, you got Abby, you got Josh. You can watch their classes too. Yeah. And keep putting the questions on Facebook. I know that sometimes it takes a while for me to answer. trying to get more people involved in there and answering your questions. And yeah, keep telling your friends. Yeah, bring more people into this crazy little global classroom we've got here. Okay, so have a good weekend, if it's in fact Friday, wherever you are and whenever you are. And we'll see you here next week. Keep learning from your mistakes. Watch out for sentence fragments, but don't be afraid of them. Okay? Okay. Yeah. See you next time, guys. Thanks. Hi, everyone. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to our channel. Also, if you want the full experience of being a student in a Smrt Live class with things like homework and teacher feedback, follow the link and become a premium subscriber. Also, if you want to see more videos from this class, check out our playlist.